Framing today has become very expensive. I mean, you can pay £100, £150 for a simple frame for a 20-30 painting easily nowadays. And you don't always get what you want. Also, it differs country to country. I'm here in France now, and you see from the paintings behind me some of the variety of different sorts of paintings I've got to cover in making frames for them. So today, let's have a quick look at a way of making our own frames. In England now it's become very popular to have handmade frames made especially for the painting. In this case we're looking at these little mouldings, look, which are rather fun. They're very simple, just plain ramin hardwood mouldings. And if you've got the right cutters and so on, you can cut these frames to size yourself. That would be a different video altogether, showing you how to make a mount or a mat, as it says in America, or a frame or a cadre, as it says in France. A different thing. We can't do all that now in one video, but what I will show you here is the way I hand tint my frames. In England, again, very popular, and you pay more for that in fact, because actually choosing the colours, the artist choosing the colours to suit the painting. The frame on a painting shouldn't show, it should blend. The frame should just enhance the painting. The last thing you want is a frame that stands out and garish. And people often buy terrible frames to suit the wallpaper or for some weird taste. Here in France they still have this 1950s attitude of big gilt frames which can completely ruin a painting. I prefer to choose very delicate colours to pull out and enhance the colours I want to show in the paintings, and I'll show you how I do that here. Well, here's two good examples of paintings that we're going to have to do. This one I've got to make a frame for, and with these bright yellows, of course I want to bring some of that yellow into the painting so that the frame blends in with the painting itself. In this case we actually paint the painting within the frame itself, so I've made a triptych here and done metallic and gold leafing, and actually painted the paintings within the frame, so I know that those colours are going to match and it's going to become one piece, one unit. Of course, it's the same for this painting, where I've actually made a diamond shape panel and then painted the painting not only within the frame but actually over and across the frame. An expensive commercial frame, and this frame alone would be about £80 to £90, and although it's very ornate and suits the painting, it's not something I can afford very easily, and the clients simply don't realise the cost of materials. These particular frames I showed you are about €20 a metre. Now at that rate you're looking at €80 for a frame before you even start, just for the basic wood. So it's not cheap. Possibly we can get them cheaper trade, even if in France for me that's still difficult. Choosing the colours for a mount, and I always have two colours in my mounts, you have to choose those very carefully, and you do even more so with the colours for our painting, where you've got more choice to get the colours correctly. The mounts are not just cut simply with one single border. Some of my mounts have a triple border. And of course some paintings don't require frames or can't be framed, such as these large abstracts. They're happy just to contain themselves. What I'm going to do now is make a frame for glazing, to take a painting very similar to this one. Here's a commercially made. This painting, this watercolour done just down in the gorge oil. This oil that I did as a demonstration the other day. This one, seen in a stag. This scene of the fishing boat early morning here as well. And this little bridge in a spallion as well. We'll do finally this large painting of morning in a stag looking down at the bridge. Okay, well here's the frame put together with that last little painting we looked at. And what's been done now, I've filled any little cracks and crevices, glued it together, jointed it all up. Again, a different video for that. And then given it a coat, a thin wash of black and Prussian blue. I like to have a dark base for nearly all my frames. You can make it as dark as you want to start with, or you can build up whatever colours you fancy, just experiment on your framing. So water-based acrylic paint, a thin wash of dark all over, and when it's dry you can start the colour washes on this. And as it's got mouldings or crevices in it, it will hold the liquid in certain areas. What we tend to do is drop that in with a brush and then blend it down and in, letting it drop into these hollows and gradually build up the various layers one after another, either wet into wet or sponging the layers gradually across as we add more colour. Here you can see I've actually got one almost finished, where I've built up two layers of greeny blue and a little bit of pink in the centre. Let's bring the picture and see how it looks now before we decide if it's finished. And actually it looks quite effective. This one's going to have glass in it later. But you can see how the colours now of the frame, the darker inner edge and these colours on the outside are blending and linking and pulling together. The finish is matte. Normally I'd do this before putting the painting in, but in just demonstrating to you it doesn't really matter because I've got plastic on here anyway. But we're going to put a little bit of clear wax polish on to give it a lustre and a better finish as well, a more protective finish if we want to dust it. And it brings out the colours of the acrylic slightly more too, so just a thin coat of wax all round the frame, let it dry, and then buff it gently to give a nice lustre to the frame. Gives it that last professional bit of finish. Okay, here's some frames ready made with the undercoating on, the black and the Prussian blue ready, and the materials are going to require for colour washing are quite simply some tubes of acrylic paint, the yellow, the blue, the green and the red there, a tin of wax polish, a nice big bristle brush, some water and a mixing palette and a sponge. That's all you're going to require to make a lovely frame. You can see we've got the dark undercoat ready now. I'm not going to do this on the painting, but it's just to give you an idea of what colours I need. I think I want to bring out these blues and these greens a bit. So we're going to put a blue, light blue colour wash in here with some greens and maybe a touch of pink as well. Okay, let's start with the light blue wash. Nice and simple here. Put some water in, a little bit of the white. Make enough to do your whole frame, because the last thing you want is to try and mix the same colour again when you're halfway around. Now make it fairly thin, because it's only a wash we're doing, remember. And we just go around this whole inner edge, and one nice go, a bit more water in, that's a little bit heavy, inner edge. If it's too dark, we can change it again later, because we can adjust this, there's no worry, you can adjust it any time. Just go right around with a big bristle brush here. I'll come back with a sponge in a minute and blend that. You see how the colour is already, by gravity, starting to drop into the inner edges. Now to change my colour to a pink, we'll go across the inner edge there then, and blend that in with the blue as I go around. It's fairly easy. More yellow, and we'll just bring a green tint to the outer edge of the frame, and we'll look at the edge of the frame and just give that a final wash around, very thin wash, just to blend that colour in. So we don't want any big brush marks or jumps between colours. Gently sponge this and blend it in. There we are. And quite effective colour wash frame. We'll let that dry. Far out now, but I do feel I'd like some more of this colour in the frame. So somewhere here I need to bring in some of this cream. Possibly not the inner edge, possibly a bit more on the outer edge again, just to bring the yellow out of the painting. Okay, then we'll bring this light cream around the outside, this yellowy colour. Maybe it needs to be a little bit lighter on the outside of the frame. Seems a bit drastic, but I think you'll see the difference that it makes later on. Blending that colour in and around this edge. Okay, let's straight away see what effect that colour has on the painting. You'll see how that lifts that up. So I'm going to take back to the dark undercoat with the sponge. There's almost too much yellow there. And we'll let the dark colour show through, and the yellow will just lean out. There we go, that's better, that's much more subtle. See two frames on the pictures and how attractive they can look once they're done. Okay, all of the frames are finished now. Let's take a look at a selection of the paintings and the frames and the colours that I've done to deliberately suit the colours of the paintings and link them with the frames. You see here where I put some paint on after the waxing's been done, because you put a coat of wax at the final painting, and it's resisted and then dried onto the wax. It won't come off. Well, that's that short film for now. I hope that's given you a few good ideas to make your own framing up, save yourself some money and make a far more attractive card drawer or frame for your work to suit the colours and enhance the colours as you, the artist, originally intended.